Hello students, how are you all? In today's lecture, we will be recapitulating of whatever we have done till now. The very first lecture, it was all about how and why we should study English. It should not be taken as a subject but as a language, which is actually the language of the world in today's time. Being a globalized world, it is the language which connects us to everyone. It's the language of the research, of internet, online, everything. So it has actually become the window of the world. And this approach should be carried forward rather than taking English as a subject and focusing for gaining marks. Because our approach towards this language will actually clarify our viewpoint and approach towards this language. Hello students, how are you all? In today's lecture, we will be recapitulating of whatever we have done till now. The very first lecture, it was all about how and why we should study English. It should not be taken as a subject but as a language, which is actually the language of the world in today's time. Being a globalized world, it is the language which connects us to everyone. It's the language of the research, of internet, online, everything. So it has actually become the window of the world. And this approach should be carried forward rather than taking English as a subject and focusing for gaining marks. Because our approach towards this language will actually clarify our viewpoint and approach towards this language. So moving forth, we began with the chapter The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh, in which the author describes his relationship with his grandmother. He was a child and he was left with his grandmother as the parents had moved to the city, and the grandmother used to take care of this child. So the chapter begins with the introduction of the grandmother, wherein the author tells us that his grandmother was a short, fat, and slightly bent woman. She had silver hair, which were all scattered untidily on her wrinkled face. The grandmother used to hobble around the house in white clothes, and her one hand always rested on her waist. The other hand was always busy in moving the beads of her rosary. Khushwant Singh remembers that she was not pretty but beautiful. She compares her face to that of a winter landscape. And she was always a very peaceful woman. She was always dressed up in white with her silver locks of hair and white draped sari. The grandmother used to wake him up in the morning and plaster his wooden slate, prepare his breakfast, and escort him to school. While he studied alphabet, she read the scriptures in the temple attached to the school. On their way back home, she fed stale chapatis to stray dogs. And now a turning point comes in the life of the grandmother and the author when they move to live in the city. Now, the author went to a city school in a bus and studied English. In other words, you can say the grandmother was not accompanying the author to school. So now that distancing started happening. He was now studying English. He was being taught the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, and many more things which she was not able to understand. Now, the author was not being taught anything about teaching of God or scriptures at city school. Instead, he was being given music lessons which, according to her, were not meant for the gentle folk, as it had lewd association. And this thing actually troubled the grandmother, but she did not say anything to anybody. Now, when Khushwant Singh went to a university, he was given a separate room, and it was here that the common link of friendship that was snapped. Grandmother rarely talked to anyone now. She spent most of her time sitting beside her spinning wheel, reciting prayers and feeding the sparrows in the afternoon. When the author left for abroad, grandmother did not at all get disturbed. In fact, she saw him off at the railway station. Seeing her old age, the narrator thought that it was their last meeting. But this did not happen. When he returned after a span of 5 years, the grandmother was there again to receive him. This time, she celebrated the homecoming of his grandson by singing songs of homecoming of warriors, by collecting women from her neighborhood, and by beating a dilapidated drum herself. She sang songs to her heart content, and the next morning she got ill. A doctor was called for, and who told everyone that it was a mild fever and would go away. But the grandmother, she could see her end and declared that her end was near. She did not want to waste time talking to anyone. She lay peacefully in her bed, saying her prayers and telling the beads of a rosary till it fell down and her lips stopped moving. Actually, the grandmother was no more. To mourn her death, thousands of sparrows they flew in and sat scattered around her body. There was no chirping, and when the grandmother was being taken off for her funeral, the sparrows flew away, even without consuming the breadcrumbs which Khushwant Singh's mother had given them to eat, as if they all had come together to bid a farewell to their beloved grandmother. So, in this story, Khushwant Singh gives an interesting portrait of of his grandmother, and tells us that she was a very loving and deeply religious old woman. So, this is all about the chapter, The Portrait of a Lady, in which the relationship of the author and his grandmother, it has been highlighted. So, this is wherein we come to know about the grandmother of the author. Now we will take up the other chapter called The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse in the book called Snapshot. This chapter is written by William Saroyan, who is an Armenian, and the story revolves around two boys who are cousins, Murad and Aram. These boys belong to the Garogalian family, and their tribe is known for their honesty. They are very poor and hardly they can earn money for food. Both the boys they wish to ride a horse. Murad, he has stolen a horse from a farmer a month ago. One early morning, he brought it to the window of Aram and asked him to come along for a ride. The two boys they ride on the horse. But before this, a question comes to Aram's mind when he looks at a beautiful white horse standing outside his window, How could Murad get this horse? Did he buy this, which was not possible for him as the family was poor and they were passing through a phase of poverty? So the next question which comes to his mind was, did Murad steal the horse? Which is also unacceptable to Aram at that moment. He comes to realize that they boys belong to the Garogalian tribe, which is known for honesty. Whole tribe is known for their this characteristic. But before Aram could think much on this, because he was now more or less convinced that Murad has stolen the horse from somewhere, maybe for a purpose of ride only. So he goes along with Murad for a ride, and they rode on the countryside of the area where they lived, Walnut Avenue. After some time, Murad asked him to get off as he wanted to ride the horse alone. Aram asked him if he could also ride the horse alone, just like him, to which Murad said they will see, as it was for his own safety. He got to know that Murad had stolen the horse a month ago and was riding it every morning. Now, when Aram got the chance to ride the horse took him to the vineyard and threw him off and ran away. After searching for almost half an hour, Murad finally managed to find the horse and they hid him in a deserted vineyard that had some oats and alfalfa. Murad said that he had a way with everything and especially with horses. He knew how to handle every type of animal and even humans. Every morning for 2 weeks, they would take the horse for a ride and then hide it again. One day, John Byro came to Aram's house to talk to his uncle Khusro, who was an irritated man with a loud personality. He told him that his horse is still missing and he got it at $60. For 1 month he could not find it and he walked for 10 miles to come to their house. On listening this, Uncle Khusro, he roared and he said, "It's no harm, pay no attention." Bairu became irritated by his attitude and he went away. Now this was Uncle Khusro's tendency to shout at people whenever they complained of anything, because he himself believed in the attitude of not taking much care of the lost things. For him, materialistic things did not matter much. So, this was the reason perhaps he always had a casual approach towards anything or any loss which was made. As soon as Aram listens to the conversation of John Byro and Uncle Khusro, he rushes to Murad and tells him about the missing horse of John Byro. And he tells him not to return the horse until he learns to ride it. Murad tells him that it would take him 1 year to learn to how to ride a horse. Then he says that he is not a thief, as his entire tribe is known for its honesty. Therefore, he needs to return the horse. One day, on their way back to hide the horse to the particular stop in the deserted vineyard, they met John Byro, who was going back to the town. He talked to them and he started examining the horse. After examining the jaws of the horse, he admitted that the horse looked exactly like the one he had. But since the two boys belonged to the Gargolian tribe and he knew their parents, he will never say that it is his horse. In fact, he says that he would assume it had a twin horse. Now Murad managed to let Byro assume that it was not his horse and he goes from that place away. The next morning, both of them, they take the horse back to Byro's vineyard and put it in the barn. The dogs followed them along quietly and left the place. Again, here Murad says that he has a way with dogs. The same afternoon, John Byro came back to his house to tell his mother about the stolen horse which had now come back. He was happy, but he was more astonished to see the horse better temper, and it was stronger than ever. Now, when he told this thing to Aram's mother, Uncle Khusro listened this and he roared, "Quiet, man, quiet. Your horse has been returned. Pay no attention." He even disliked this thing, and it was believed that Murad, he is a natural ascendant, descendant of this man called Uncle Khusro, the son of Zurab. Murad is just a true copy in nature of his uncle, who was a short-tempered man but at the same time courageous and decision maker. Because Murad is here more willing to fulfill his cousin's desire to ride a horse rather than thinking of the consequences of stealing a horse. In the end, we come to a conclusion that it was not an act of stealing, because the horse was not intended to be sold. It was rather kept by the boys to have the pleasure of riding a horse, and they also very well knew that they are going to return it, which they do at the end of the chapter. So a moral question rises that when we are tempted by something, should or should we not do a particular task? Whether your wish it is more important to be granted at the behest of the something which is a mark for your or a trait for your whole tribe, in which the boys did. They placed aside the trait of their family honesty and took the horse away, maybe for a month, kept it, they tendered it well, but that stigma of stealing that had actually been put up. So here we are with a moral question to ourselves: should or should we not do something to fulfill our aspirations? This is where the chapter ends, and it is called The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. This puts a moral question, and this is where we end up with the story, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, and we will be taking up this issue for our own thinking, what or what not needs to be done in our lives. This is with which we end up our today's lecture. Thank you.